Welcome to A New Life podcast with Pamela Jean, where it's all about empowering women to empower more women. Get ready, friends, to create a new life. And here is your host, Pamela Jean.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to this week's episode of A New Life podcast. I'm Pamela Jean, your host of A New Life podcast. Thank you so much for being here. I realize that your time is very valuable. Time is the one commodity that we just don't seem to have enough of and is so absolutely valuable. Today, I'm interviewing a very, very interesting woman. She has just opened her third store. She's a business owner and entrepreneur. I can't wait to get to know more about her, and I know you will enjoy her story as well. I'm interviewing Scottie Lawrence. She's the owner of Magnolia Soaps here in Tulsa and Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Scottie, I'm thrilled to have you here. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It's truly an honor.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Scottie. Where did you grow up? Where are you, were you formally educated? Just kind of give us a backstory of what led you to be the business owner and entrepreneur that you are today.
Yes, so I am a small town Kansas farm girl. I grew up on a dairy farm. I grew up milking cows, showing cows, 4-H, FFA, everything. My parents instilled to me that education was very important. So I pursued the career of doctor of chiropractic. So I graduated from chiropractic school in '98, of which I met my husband there, who is also a chiropractor. And we opened up our first clinic and practiced together for 20 plus years. During the time, I would have to say I was very unfulfilled. And instantly after graduating from chiropractic school, my brain started moving around and churning, and I started creating businesses. And my husband's like, well, we just opened this practice. And I was like, well, I want to open a wedding business. So I did that. And then I was like, I want to open Curves for Women. This is back when Curves for Women was a big deal.
I
And
remember Curves for Women.
yeah,
Yes.
yes. So early 2000, I bought my first business. So like that's when I guess I knew I was. I thought I would be. I just know that I'm not a 9 to 5 kind of person, and that wasn't something that was fulfilling to me. And so I bought my first Curves, which was a failing facility, and I quickly turned that around into a very successful Curves. And then I opened my second location within a year of that. And so I opened 2 stores essentially right away within a year. And then 2 years after that, I sold them for triple of what I invested them in. So that was my first taste of being an entrepreneur. And that's when I really changed my life and to see what I could do. And ever since then, I haven't ever stopped creating businesses. It's been a constant flux between one or another.
Sure. So, so you grew up in Kansas. What brought you to Tulsa? How did you land here in Tulsa? Were the Curves businesses in Tulsa or were they somewhere in Kansas?
Oh, sorry. Yes. So my parents were actually born and raised in the Tulsa area in a small town. So as a little girl from Kansas, we would always come and visit Tulsa. And I thought, wow, that's a big city, and I want to live here one day.
When you live in Kansas, it is a big city.
And like things stuck in my head, like the "Oh, are you praying hands?" I remembered that vividly since I was a little girl. And I'm like, I want to live right there. And I ended up, fast forwarding. I live like within a few blocks of that praying hand. So it was like I manifested it. And my husband, I said, hey, I want to move to Oklahoma when we were in chiropractic school in Dallas, Texas. And he goes, oh, I'll never be an Okie. And so, and he's Canadian, and it ended up, so what I didn't share is our practice. We moved to Arizona and we practiced there and had our children. We have two kids. They're both adults now. One's 23 and one's 21. And so a life change occurred while I was in Arizona, and in 2017 in January we moved back. 2007, sorry, we moved back to Tulsa, and I just told my husband, "You can stay here, you can go, but the kids and I are going to Oklahoma." And he's like, "Well, home is where you are, so I'll be in Okie."
Mm.
So
Oh, I love it. And it's not such a bad place to be.
no, I know Oklahoma
'Cause
is not that bad. That's actually a t-shirt.
no,
So
no, I know it is. That's why I said it. That's so funny. And I'm not from Oklahoma. Wasn't born and raised here, but I've lived here for the better part of 25 years, I would say 20 years, something like that. I've kind of lost track. But I will tell you, Tulsa is a beautiful place to live. It has, to me anyway, the best of so many worlds that I'm grateful. It's easy to live here.
I agree.
It's
Yes.
just very easy to live here, and we have a lot to do if you seek things out to do. Some people just complain, "There's nothing to do where I live." Okay, really? So I just feel like our little neck of the woods has a great offering of restaurants and activities and arts and sports, and there's just a lot of goodness here, and I'm, personally grateful to be living in Tulsa, Oklahoma, because I love it, and I love hot summers. So there you go.
Same.
So I'm in my happy place. So because you grew up on a farm, and I grew up actually in Northwest Iowa, so I understand that farming mentality. And when you were telling that little bit about you grew up as a dairy farmer, as your parents' dairy farmers, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's why she massively goes after business, because she has a work ethic like no other, because that's just instilled when you grow up on a farm as a farm kid. So, what was your first paying job? I have to know, because I'll tell you what
Oh,
mine is, but I just want to know what your
oh
first
man.
paying job is.
My parents, I made them pay me to milk cows.
Yes.
So I was like, I'm not doing this for free. And so I would write, they would, make me milk cows. And so I'd write on the calendar at the dairy barn what days I worked. And then I got paid, I think it was $1 per day or something. And I mean, it's
Which I
like
think
child labor.
there's
Yeah.
labor laws against that these days, but maybe back then there
Maybe
was
back in the
not.
80s, it was totally
Yeah.
fine. And then, so I demanded payment. And so, unless I was being punished, and then that
Right.
was, I didn't get payment if I was punished.
I
Yeah.
fully understand that. My first job was walking beans, which is literally walking through fields and fields, miles and miles of a bean field pulling weeds. I mean, that's what I did. And you know what? Here's the really silly thing. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I know, I'm sick. I loved it. It's like you were up at the crack of dawn. There was still dew on the leaves of the bean plants. It was so serene and beautiful. So I know I'm a sick person, but I loved that job. And I felt so proud at the end of the summer when the farmer would come over and I would turn in my hours, because we tracked our hours, and he would pay me. And oh my gosh, that was like the best day of my life. So, and I was like 12. I was 12. I couldn't wait to start working.
I know, it's
Oh,
so
that's
funny.
so funny. So, did you start your businesses after your children were grown, or did your businesses start when your children were still small and at home?
Um, they started when my children were small.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So that
So,
leads me to this question, because I think this is such an important question. There's a lot of mamas out there that might be working a 9 to 5 job right now, or they are working in the home, maintaining the home and caring for the kids and doing all of those things. It's just a different type of work to me. Um, what advice do you have for them? How can you share with them how you created a balance with raising little kids and starting your curves business, and then later starting your Magnolia soaps business?
I would say for me, it was I have a very supportive spouse, and that was key. Additionally, because I was able to take and create the systems and the processes, able to have managers that can run that and take that off of me. I also instilled a lot of confidence in the people that I hire. I think that's very key. If you don't have the enough or the right systems and foundation in your business, then you're always going to be in your business. And my goal is always to work on my business, not in it. But I understand the very beginning it can be hard. So balancing it, it was hard. I'm not going to lie, but I took my kids with me a lot of the times. So that was, and then, our customers or our patients love seeing the kids because that they're a part of this family business. And that's really how I promoted it. So at our practice, our kids were there all the time. At my curves, when I was working, I'd bring my baby with me. My kids were in preschool. So I just had to balance it that way and then set my hours that I could work around. And if not, then, I did suffer in the way of quality of life. But I am a workaholic. So I would say I worked a lot too much. And I didn't know any other way. My brain just didn't ever stop in that way.
Well, and I think that goes back to your roots, Scottie. That goes back to your roots because as a child that grew up, my parents weren't full blown farmers, but we lived on a farm in a farming community. We lived out on an acreage, and that's just what you did. That's My parents both worked not on the farm 100%, but they worked in town. And then my dad would come home and go work for other farmers as a ranch hand or whatever. He would continue working. He left the house at 4 in the morning and came home at 3 in the afternoon just to hop on a tractor and go work for a farmer. So
Yeah.
I think I know I was really just shown incredible work ethics and also that creative freedom to know that there is nothing that I could not do. If I wanted to start a business, I could start a business. If I wanted to, become a brain surgeon, I could become a brain surgeon. I just was never of that belief that I can't do something. Would that be true for you as well?
Completely the same. There wasn't a time when my parents didn't instill that anything is possible. And that's kind of what I tell, people now that ask me things is when I go into something, I never think about failure. Like it never crosses my mind. It isn't something that I'm like, oh gosh, what if I fail at opening this business? It just never even is a thought process.
Mm-hmm.
If I do quote unquote fail, I feel like it's more of a learning, and I just modify it and I change it and I start again. So the same thing, when I was showing cows or when I was doing anything, it was just like failure just wasn't something that I ever thought about. I knew I was going to win or win at whatever I did. That's how I am now, and looking back on my parents and my parents now, it makes sense what you're saying because they continue to work. Every time we go to their house, there is something that we do. And I don't think like my husband and other people like, why don't your parents ever rest? I don't think they know how.
Mm-hmm.
And nor do I. It's just constant work for me. That's just how my brain is. And
Right.
yeah.
But I think that a person like that is the workaholic type, because I would definitely say my father in particular, my mother was a very hard worker too, but my father in particular, he was 1,000% a workaholic. But to be honest with you, he had the most joyful moments in his life was when he was working. He loved working. And if he were still alive today, he would still be working because he loved it so much. He loved the feeling of accomplishment. He loved the community of people that he met and that community he built around himself because of work, the contacts he made, the connections that were born, the relationships that were birthed out of his work. He loved working. Like for him to sit around and watch a TV show, that was so foreign. He would probably fall asleep in like 5 seconds because he stopped moving.
Yes.
And I'm a lot that way too. And like I move constantly. And then the second I stop and sit for 5 minutes, I'm like, I hit a wall really quickly. And I'm like, I better keep moving or I will fall asleep in 5 seconds. Awesome. Well, tell me about Magnolia soaps. I first have to tell you this. A couple of years ago, my stepdaughters gave me this lovely gift. It was for my birthday or Christmas. I can't remember which, but it was from Magnolia Soaps. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I heard about this place. It was down on Cherry Street. And I was so excited to receive a gift from your store. So tell me about Magnolia Soaps and the philosophy that this company has and why you felt it necessary to bring it to life in the Tulsa area.
Yes, thank you. So, at the time, whenever before I opened Magnolia, I had a wedding business. Again, I created a whole thing with that, some mobile photo booths and then the pandemic hit, right? So this is in 2020.
That was
And
fun.
yeah, and I lost all my weddings. And so I was like, and who would have thought a wedding would ever not happen? And so when you're opening a business, you think, I mean, again, I didn't think failure. So it's like, oh my gosh, everyone's gonna get married always. So that went down. And so in the midst of that going down, I found out about kind of a retail theater type store where you can come in and participate and see how products are made. I love going to restaurants where you can see the kitchen,
Mhm.
and I like going to restaurants where they make food in front of you. So, and as a result, I found out about this business, the Magnolia, and I loved that it was founded by a woman, and I loved that it was clean ingredients, and it kind of went with my philosophy of being a chiropractor also, and just how I felt about clean ingredients. And I think at that time in the year, everyone was home and they were spending time looking at a lot more social media and seeing what was in things. It became more apparent as to what we were putting into our bodies just because we had more time on our hands, I think.
Mhm. That's very
And
true. That's a
yeah,
really good point. And I think that goes to the conversation that there's a silver lining in everything. And I mean, if that's the one silver lining that someone got out of COVID was, you know what? I learned more about the products around me, the toxicities that I'm putting on my body and in my body. That's a huge thing to learn. And that's a beautiful gift and silver lining, in my opinion.
yeah, I was pretty shocked. Like, I think we all had a lot of time on our hands. And then just being in part of the pandemic and all the, like what is going on? What can we clean with? All the things that were occurring. And then learning some stores or some professions were essential, non-essential. Like that was a term that none of us had ever heard before.
Right.
And, some businesses were working and some were not. And so as I was in that, and in September of 2020, I was like, okay, so I need to think of an essential business that will never be shut down. And what is that? And I'm like, oh, it's soap. They can't shut down a soap store because of our cleaning ingredients. And so that's pretty much why I went for it. And again, I had never made soap. I made candle once in college and it burned up and caused a
Was
big
not your
problem.
forte. You
And it was
learned that
not. And I
was
was
not
like,
your gift.
no, I was like, I thought I was crafty, but I'm not. And so, and I never forget, I put too many flowers in my candle. My flowers caught fire. And so it was super funny. But people always ask me, "Oh, you used to do this in your kitchen?" I was like, "No, never. I just love businesses, and I loved the model of a retail theater, and I loved being able to think, okay, in the middle of a pandemic, what this store is going to bring people together in Tulsa. And that's exactly what it did. And people are like, oh my gosh, you opened in the December 2020, it was still mask, everything was still very strict, social distancing, all of it. And we thrived and we grew, and we grew fast because it was something very different that allowed people to come in and have joy and being able to create things also.
I love the term that you used, and I've not heard it before. Maybe I've been living under a rock, but retail theater. I've never heard that terminology before. And so I'm understanding it correctly. It's where you gather in a retail space and you visually watch the process of the soaps being made, you make your own soaps. What does that look like? Can you expand on retail theater just a little bit more?
Yes, so exactly what you just said. So you can come in and any time of the day we're making something. We make it right there at our bar, right in front of you. You can sit there and watch us from beginning to end pour soap or make a body butter or sugar scrub. The theater part of it is most people don't know what's in their bath products. They never think about it. You don't even have ingredients on your laundry detergent because if you did, you'd be terrified you would never use it. So, like everything is out in the open with us, and that's the theater part. And we're almost on display. We have a giant bar that we want to be the focal point of our store. I made the decor and the atmosphere of my store so that the bar is the focal point because I want you to walk up there and look and see what we're doing and talk to us and ask us and then find out how you can create something too. So that's the
Mhm.
magic of it and the
Oh,
beauty. Yeah.
that's fantastic. I love that. So, who would if you were to define your ideal customer, who is that person?
So it is, of course, women. I would say, I mean, 95% of our customers are women, and it's in between the ages of 25 and 60. That is, um, that is our ideal customer. A little more affluent, and those that are conscious of what they put into their bodies and are on their bodies. The skin is the largest organ, and that is what is often we think about our face, but not the rest of our body. And so a lot of the eczema, a lot of the psoriasis, a lot of the skin conditions are all usually attributed also the detergents that you use. So the person that comes in is usually open-minded or curious about what the clean ingredients can be for their bodies and not just what they ingest, but what they put on it.
Excellent. That's fantastic. I just love that. So, is Magnolia Soap, is that a franchise or is that your local company just here in the Oklahoma, Tulsa area?
It is a franchise, and it's when I started, it was brand new. I think I was the number 4 or number 5 franchisee to come in. So I'm in the OG group. So it's been quite fun to see the change and the expansion occur within our company. I own my territories here, and that's why I rapidly expanded. I committed to multiple stores because that's how my brain works,
Mhm.
and I knew I wanted to offer multiple locations in the places that I live. So
Well, I commend you and I commend the creator of Magnolia Soap to be so bold and to start this type of company in the midst of a pandemic when so many small businesses were closing and so many stores were just disheveled and not sure what their futures are. I just think that's such a bold, confident mindset that failure is not an option. Scotty, I've been interviewing some of the most amazing entrepreneurial women in the last month and a half. And it's a common theme. We come back to, I don't really see anything as failure. Failure is actually education. Failure is freedom. Failure is, no one's afraid of failure. So I guess, if anyone listening is struggling with, oh, I'm afraid to fail, you have to expect failure, lean into failure. Failure is where, and I'm using that in air quotes because failure is where the biggest educational nuggets are found, is when you try something and it doesn't work and then you get to remodify it, re-engineer it and try it again.
yes, exactly, 100%. That's really how I think.
Awesome. I love that. So, outside of your business, what's the mission? And maybe not outside of your business, but what is the mission of your business? I know your business feeds your soul because you are that entrepreneurial person who just thrives on being a visionary and creation of companies. But what is the mission behind your business?
So we believe very strongly in charity, and one of our slogans is we are much more than soap. And so every month we use our product, our skills, our craft to benefit a local charity. And so every month we call it Hope and Soap. So
Oh, I
it's
love that.
yeah, it's beyond an honor for me to be able to choose a charity for all three of my stores, and during the month give back to that charity by a sale of their particular soap. The charity comes in, and some of their volunteers or directors will come in and actually make the soap. So they're a part of it. And then we sell that soap for that month. And we donate 50% of the sale back to them. In addition, I think I'm one of the only stores that does this, but we do a week of giving. So during the week of that sponsorship for that charity, we donate 20% of the sales for anyone that comes in and mentions that charity during that week.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's just for me, knowing that this also allows me the ability to give back to my community, it really does impact and changes how my business runs. Because if you can think outside yourself and just your bottom line, and how can a business impact those that are less fortunate, that's where true difference occurs. And I've found that in my life. Not only is it, financially good, but it's also rewarding on my end and also on my team members' ends to see what they're doing and
Yeah,
how it
that's
changes.
awesome.
Yeah.
And I believe too, build your community, build those connections, relationships, the business will follow.
Yes, I've been able to find organizations I didn't even know existed, and I think most people don't either. And so, being able to highlight a new charity every month into our stores, it brings awareness to that charity that our customers may not know about.
Fantastic. So if there is a charity that's listening, someone in our audience that heads up a charity or has something that is really close to their heart, how would they go about being part of the Hope? What did you call it? Hope and Soap?
Yes, and so
Hope and Soap. If you would like to be part of that charity, how would they go about doing that?
yes, they can just go on any of our social media pages, and they can, if they send a direct message or an email from our Facebook pages, that goes directly to me. And then we look at our calendar. Each month is a different theme, and usually it goes along with what the national calendar is. March is Down syndrome. April is autism. That kind of thing.
Oh,
Awareness.
good. Yes, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, so we kind of go with the theme of the calendar of whatever their national awareness month is, and then we plug them into our calendar and see how we can help them.
Excellent, excellent. So they don't really have to have any certain qualifications or anything like that. Just really apply, and you will vet who ends up getting chosen. Is that correct?
Yes, and if our calendar is full, then we put them on our list for next year. And
Mhm.
then, like, that happened with us last year. We had several contact us about different charities, like some pet shelters and some childhood cancer initiatives. And so we put them on our calendar, and they're on it this year. So
Excellent.
yeah.
Good. That's good. That's great to know. I love that. And I know philanthropies are always looking for ways of additional fundraising and awareness. And it sounds like you would be a perfect opportunity to partner with. That's fantastic. So tell me about the parties that you have at your store. Let's say I have a girls' night planned, or I want to bring in my Girl Scouts or whatever. What does that look like, having a event at your store?
Yeah, so we offer different types of parties. And so they're a lot of fun. I helped create it for the company. And so we do bath bomb parties. Each person makes their own individual bath bomb bowls, so they can choose their color, their scent, their toppings, and they get to take them with them. We also do shower steamers, which are a lot of fun. Um, Soap making, and pour their own soap. and then also a candle parties. So we do all that. So we allow the people to choose what best fits their age group or kind of what they're there for. With Girl Scouts, which is a lot of fun, they can actually earn badges with us. And we love being a part of that. They have a soap making badge, and they also have an entrepreneur badge that they can earn when they come into our store and help create things or just kind of shadow us. So yeah, that is a lot of fun to be able to be a part of Brownie Troop or Girl Scout Troop to make their soap making classes.
Oh, what a great learning experience
I
for
know it's
them
so
too. Oh my
yeah,
gosh,
it's
because who
so
knew?
fun. Yep. We also work with the about 4 or 5 beauty colleges here in the area, and they come in while they're on their aesthetics portion and their clean ingredient portion of their teaching, and then they learn about alternatives to skincare and body care at our store, and they help participate in what we're doing. So that's always a fun to have adults come in and learn about our products. And so we do
Mm,
the workshops outside of just parties, a lot of education that we do. And
that's
that makes,
awesome.
yeah, and that's a lot of fun.
Oh, fantastic. I love how you're just reaching so many people. And I just think of the young girl learning to make her first soap that will serve her body well. Just that'll never leave her. She'll take that with her for the rest of her life and learn to take much better care of herself and be aware of the toxins that are in absolutely everything that we pick off off the
Yes.
shelf when you go to a like a grocery store or, Target or Walmart or wherever you shop, there's just toxins everywhere.
So much. I love when moms and daughters come in. There's a lot more. I think whenever we were younger, I mean, I don't know, I used Mr. Bubble, like no one even,
Right.
and
The
like,
biggest bubbles ever.
yes, but it probably like ate your skin off, like all this stuff. And I think about all of those things we did back in the 70s and 80s, and then I see all these kids now coming in, these young girls, and some of them are even more involved in it than their moms. And like all these little bougie little girls coming in, wanting their skincare and their body care. I love it. It's for me, it's just so cute to see young women and young girls knowing what's in their bodies now. And if
Mhm.
that's one plus of social media, that's part of it is now these girls are aware more so than we ever were, you know.
Absolutely. I don't know how old you are, but I think we're probably fairly in the same ballpark anyway. But I don't ever remember it just whatever was in the shower, that's what you used. I never thought that there could potentially be ingredients in the soaps and the shampoos and the hair products and the bathing products that were not good for me. You trusted that you just bought it and it was good for you, or you didn't think about it. And I love the
Exactly.
awareness that your company has really brought to the forefront, and to see the young girls being an advocate for themselves at a young age for what is on their body and going in their body. That's just phenomenal. That in itself is like a huge win with what your company is doing.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Again, that's exactly how it was. I never thought about it, even through college. I was like, oh, I like the smell, whatever, layering I can do with my bath and body stuff.
Right.
And when I had my children, and I think about the detergent that I use and why he had eczema, as all this stuff, it all makes sense now. But the marketing is so powerful and you just don't even know.
Mm.
So it's a beast that, I'm trying to tackle here within our community, but it's just very rewarding when I see people switch over to our products and get a great result.
Well, I commend what you're doing, and I'm so excited for you and what you've brought to Tulsa and the area. So, if someone wants to get a hold of you or shop your store, will you share with the audience your website, your store locations, and your social media handles so they can connect with you?
Yeah, so our social media is at Magnolia Soap and Bath Co. Tulsa, and that's our Instagram. And that's our main. I only have one Instagram. My other stores have a Facebook for each one. So if you search Magnolia Soap Tulsa or Magnolia Soap Broken Arrow, we will pop up. and then you can like us and follow us on there. In addition, our little websites that we have are mymagnoliasoap.com/Tulsa or /Broken Arrow. And that will get you to our individual shopping pages as well.
Excellent. So you still have the two stores in Tulsa, the one at the mall and the one on Cherry Street. Is that
Yes,
correct? And then
correct.
your newest location just opened right before Christmas out in Broken Arrow, correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay, excellent, excellent. And can people shop online and have their orders shipped to them, or is it a store visit only?
You can do either. That link will take you to the shipping option, or if you want to pick up, or also DoorDash will deliver.
Oh,
Uh,
excellent. Good.
yeah,
Didn't know
or
that. Oh, I learned something new. I love
I
that.
know, I know. And if it's over
Awesome.
$50, DoorDash is free. We learned that.
Okay, good. Well, yeah, good to know. You never know what you don't know.
I know.
And I love that. Okay, I'm going to wind us down just a little bit with some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
One question I have for you is, what is one thing about Scottie Lawrence that no one knows about you?
Oh gosh. Oh man. Um, I okay, so I will say I am a native Osage, and I'm a card carrying Osage, but I also have an Osage name, and it's Huet Doin, and that means looking to the maiden. So
So good. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I asked you that question. That is absolutely beautiful. And I just have weird quirks that are things that people don't know about me. I don't have anything special like that. That's beautiful. Oh my gosh,
yes.
that's beautiful. What advice would you give the younger you?
Oh gosh. Um, I would say the younger me, well, invest in Google. Like that should have been something I knew to do. But um, I would say to be a lot more forgiving. I look back on things now, and because of my work ethic and my work, I would just lock myself in my office and just plug away. And I wish I would have had more boundaries and more um, forgiveness to let work go and
Mm.
not worry about it, and then be with my family more. And so that's, if I were to tell any young mom now, is, and it's so hard to do, is to set that time limit and just walk away. And it'll be there tomorrow. You don't have to figure it out tonight. And that's something that I just couldn't let go of. I'm like a dog with a bone, and I had to stick with it until I figured it out, and did that countless of years. And I regret that, I'd have to say.
I think I can lock arms with you on that, Scotty, because my first company also, I worked all the time. And I know that even if I was present with my children, I wasn't present with my children. My
Yeah.
mind was not there. My body might have been, but I wasn't always plugged in with them as I should have been. And now that mine are all adults as well, it's you don't get to hit a rewind. There's no do-overs.
Nope.
And I think there's a healthy balance. If one of my coaching programs is balanced life, balanced business, to help create balance in both of those arenas for us to live the most productive and beautiful life that we can live. It takes work on both of those spheres. But what I learned is there are some things that, you know what? The house is not going to burn down if it waits till tomorrow. If you go to bed with dishes in your sink, it'll be okay. If you go to bed and you don't have, every last I dotted and T crossed on something in your business, it will be okay. Now, there are times where it's high priority and you're not able to do that, but to be able to discern when to walk away and say, you know what, this will be tomorrow. I'm going to plug in somewhere else in my life. That's a
Yeah.
hard one. And I know I struggled with that as well. And I struggle with it. I mean, even today, because there's so much I know I want to do and so much I keep building and connecting with new people and new ideas and expanding and growing. And more education and all of those things, I know I have to take a deep breath and say, you know what? This will wait till tomorrow. This too can wait till tomorrow.
Yes, it's so true. I remember them telling you, my husband, like, okay, can you just put it away? And I put it away, and then I'd just be sitting there, thinking about it, and
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
And
so
staring at your upside down phone.
yeah,
Like,
and
yeah.
so yeah, I wish I had that ability, and wish I would have just, again, yeah, you can't rewind it, and I showed
Mhm.
my kids that you can have work ethic, but what I also showed them was that sometimes they get sacrificed, and I hated that. Think about
Right.
that now. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Oh gosh, thanks for sharing that because that's a very vulnerable, heartfelt thing to share. And thank you for letting us, see that part of being an entrepreneur and a business owner. That little wedge of your world. And honestly, I look back at my dad and his work life. I didn't see my dad much growing up. Very little, actually. If I wanted to see him, I would have to go out to where he was. I would go out to the shop. I would go out to the barn. I would go hop on the tractor with him. That's when I got to have time with him because he didn't come find me. I can
Right.
tell you that, he was busy and I understand that. But I do appreciate the work ethic that I learned from him. That is so valuable and no one can ever take that away from me. And I love having that attribute that my father had.
Yes, same. And I've like we were on a vacation, my husband and I, and he was like, "Can you just, not be on your phone or whatever?" And right now, and I said, "Well, do you recall when, you also had a business and what that required?" I said, "Right now, the trade-off is that I can leave whenever I want, but I still have to be accountable to what my business. I can't just walk away from my paying job. I don't get paid vacation, you know.
Right.
And I said, so I'm here because I can, but the trade-off is that I also have to answer questions when something happens in my store.
Mhm.
And that's okay with me, as long as that's
Yeah.
okay with you. And
Yes, yes. Oh, I think that's such good advice. And last spring, my husband and I took a trip and together, and we were gone, I don't know, 6 days or so. It was the first time in my whole business life that I did not bring my laptop with me.
yeah,
Oh my gosh, I was just like, okay, you can do this.
I
You
know.
can
I
do
even had
this.
to do payroll while I was on vacation. I was just
Yes,
like,
I've done that. Oh
I
my
was
gosh,
like,
I've done
hey,
that.
next time let's schedule a vacation when it doesn't fall on a payroll
Not
holiday.
during payroll. Oh my
I'm
gosh,
like, who
that's
else is going to do it? So I was like, I have to
I
do this,
know, I know. But I will tell you, the first day or two not having my laptop there just to check in was hard. I mean, I had a lot of feelings about that. I don't have anxiety, but I had just a lot of feelings and emotions about that. But by the time our trip was done, it was the most relaxing vacation I have ever had in my whole life.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for that, but it's like, "Oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. Just leave your laptop behind." But I've never done it before because I mean, I'm an early riser, so I'd get up at, 5:30 in the morning or 5 a.m. or 4:30, whatever, and just, hop on and see what's going on and answer emails and fix the world, answer questions, but I never really unplugged. So we're going on another vacation this spring and I am unplugging because I know I can. Now
Yes.
I know I can do it. So
Yes.
I'll prep and get everything ready ahead of time, but I'm still doing it. I'm
Yep.
kidding. I'm unplugging. So I have one last question for you. What advice would you give someone, an entrepreneur or a future businesswoman? What advice would you give her that she's hesitating? She's holding herself back. She's hesitating on taking the leap. What advice would you give her to help her spread her wings, build that confidence, and start to fly?
So for me, I would say what makes a difference with me now is I spend a lot of time creating and working on the business. So if you get the foundation, the systems, and the processes done at first, that will make your freedom a lot easier. That'll make you more confident because most of us will open a business and just start marketing. And then you get flooded with people, or it doesn't work and then you don't know why, or it works and then your business gets bad reviews because you weren't prepared. So I make a very conscious effort now that I make sure everything is set up so whenever I am there, I can scale it. So don't get ahead of yourself in the fact I'm going to get this place opened and then figured out in the end. I think the confidence lies in you when you have the proper foundation and then allows you to bring people in. And that's something that I just like, I'm working on another business right now. I have two more in my mind that I'm working on. And so right now I'm just creating the business so that then I can then plug it in. But I think if you also surround yourself with other people, like I joined a networking group and I'm so shy and introverted and never did I think networking was anything for me. And I just started being me and talking about who I am and making friends. And that's changed me as well. So surround yourself with people that push you and that believe in you and are there to challenge you. That's what I do. And also get your foundation set up so you can build your house on the rock, right? Like the word says, and not sand, because otherwise, you're bound to have a lot more stress and create anxiety for yourself if you're not ready and prepared. And then let people look at it, you know? So like when I create these businesses, I'm letting people look, okay, does this make sense? Is this something that you know, that you could then run on your own if I gave this system to you? So, and get help reading and get a coach. Every player has a coach.
Absolutely. I could not
So
agree more. Oh
I
my gosh.
believe in coaching. I
Mhm.
believe, like someday I want to be a coach because people ask me all the time how to do something. And I know I have the ability to know how to help them, but I'm not there yet. So, um, but every person, every successful person has a coach, a mentor, some guide to push them. So I think that's key to give them the confidence they need. If they're just on the fence, then go get a coach and then work through it and then launch it.
I love that advice, Scotty. I couldn't have said it better myself. I obviously, as a business coach and a life coach, I concur 100%. I think the problem is many people seek out a coach when their business is floundering and
Yeah,
it's too late.
too late.
You get your coach when you're on the uptick, and your coach is what helps you bring it to the next levels and maintain your level. Coaching out of desperation can work, but it's not always ideal. Getting your coach when you're on the uptick, that's when it's the sweetest time in the world to get your coach and mentor.
100%. Yep. I did that and I was like, okay, now I'm able to like, it opened a new level for me, right? It
It
opened,
opens, yes, it opens your mind into a place where you
yes,
did not know it needed to go.
right,
And once you open it, you can't unopen it. It's like
right.
that's the way I think now, and it's just different. Your mindset changes so much.
Yep.
And truly at that point, I believe the sky's the limit.
Yes, I agree. And that's 100% how I feel on that. And I think if they're on the fence, if they're unsure, unconfident, scared, you just have to get someone there to push you. And it doesn't need to be your spouse. There is support, but it needs somebody on the outside that can really look at this and with critical eye or empathy, and then also how can this move forward? And that's I think through coaching.
Oh, great advice. Great advice. Well, Scotty, my goodness, thank you so much for being here today and pouring into our audience and sharing more about your entrepreneurial journey as well as Magnolia Soaps, your current business. I look forward to hearing about your new businesses,
Thank
your
you.
other two businesses that you're kicking around. So I'll be on the watch for those as well because I love
Yes.
nothing more than hearing entrepreneurial stories. I love it. I breathe it. I feed on it. It is one of my favorite topics always. So thank you for being here. And my friends, thank you so much for spending your time with us. I know you enjoyed this interview with Scottie Lawrence. I will have her website for her stores, the contact information, all in the show notes. So refer to that when you want to connect with Scottie. Plan your next girls' night at Magnolia Soap. I know you will not regret it. Your Girl Scouts, such a great opportunity, and your philanthropy. Don't forget that. My friends, have an amazing day, and we will talk soon.
Thank you for joining us today on A New Life podcast. We will see you next time.